This is 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello, I'm Alice, and this is 6 Minute English. I'm joined today by Abdu. Hi, Abdu.
Hi, Alice.
Today we're talking about ageing populations, pensions and retirement. I'm going to start by asking you, Abdu, what age do you expect to retire?
I'm planning to retire around 65 to 70.
And do you have a pension?
Unfortunately not, no.
I've also got a third question. According to the United Nations, in 1950, 8% of the world's population was over 60 years old. Currently, 11% of the world's population is over 60. Any guesses what percentage will be over 60 in 2050?
I'm not sure. It looks like it's going up, so I would guess 15%?
Have a think about it, and I'll let you know at the end of the programme. There are lots of terms for people who've reached retirement age. Official terms in British English are OAP, which stands for Old Aged Pensioner, and in American English, Senior Citizen or Senior.
You hear the term OAP less frequently these days in the UK. It doesn't sound as respectful, perhaps, as Senior Citizen.
In many countries, economists and politicians are talking about the impact of an ageing population. In many countries around the world, people are living longer and will spend more time in retirement. Experts are worried about how we will pay for the health and services for an increasing number of people in retirement.
Some people save money in pension plans or retirement funds, as they're called in the United States. What's interesting is how many people don't have pensions, despite the warnings given by governments about saving for retirement. According to a BBC survey, only 2 out of every 10 people around the world have a pension.
We asked people if they were scared about getting old and not having enough money to live on. Here's what they said.
Goodness, there's a question. I currently have a pension in my job, so I'm not too worried that way, and I'm also hoping to save for my retirement and for later years by owning property and renting that out and selling it on when I need more income.
Well, I'm not fussy about getting old. We all have to get old at some time. So I'm not scared about it. So, life is life, and that's the way life should be.
I'm not scared about getting older or being unemployed. At all.
Not very scared. I'm more scared about getting older than being unemployed.
Oh, terrified. Absolutely terrified. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm really worried and I really need to sort that out.
Some people have other plans for how they will survive financially when they retire. One man said he was hoping to save for retirement by owning property and renting it out, or selling it when he needs more income.
And one man said he was terrified, very, very frightened about what's going to happen in the future because he hasn't thought about planning for retirement.
In some countries, the age of retirement is being increased so that people will work longer before they collect their pensions. This is very controversial in some societies.
In France, people went on strike to complain about proposals to increase the retirement age from 60 to 62.
And in the UK, some people in their 20s and 30s are annoyed that they may have to work longer than people in previous generations, especially those born in the 1940s and 50s, who are sometimes called the baby boomer generation.
The baby boomers, people born between the years of 1945 and 1964 after the Second World War, when there was a large increase in the number of children born.
Here's Rosamund Irwin, a 26-year-old journalist, talking to her father Nigel, a 60-year-old lawyer. She thinks life is going to be very difficult for young people in the future.
Well, I think the baby boomers are guilty of great generational injustice. What they've done to the future is they have had the very advantageous position of having access to very generous pensions. They've had cheap housing when they came out of university, and they didn't pay to go to university.
And this problem that arises is because of changes in demographics and the expectation that we'll all live longer. And I think that the next generation has every prospect of living longer than the baby boomer generation. And so if they want to complain that they've got to work longer to earn those pensions, it's because they will live longer overall.
So Rosamund Irwin says it's unfair that her generation will have to work longer than her parents did. She says there is generational injustice.
Yeah, she says her parents' generation started from an advantageous position.
They have generous pensions and had cheap housing compared to today. But her father says his generation shouldn't be blamed. He thinks the problem arises because of changes in demographics. In this case, that's the spread of ages across the population. The fact that there are more older people than there were before.
But he says that younger people have every prospect of living longer.
I think he means that the younger generation should be grateful that they will live longer than people have ever done before, but they will have to pay for it. So have you had a thought about our question at the beginning of the programme, Abdu? What percentage of the world's population will be over the age of 60 in 2050?
I'm sticking with my original answer, 15%.
Actually, it's a bit higher. By the middle of this century, the United Nations estimates that 22% of people will be over the age of 60. Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks for joining us and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
That was 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.